Welcome to the Momnificent Podcast. This is the place where we help parents live a happy, healthy life with their kids. We're going to show you how to connect with your child and help them even in their most difficult moments as we hear from experts in the field. I'm your host, Dr. Karin Jakubowski, an international speaker, public school principal, and former struggling student. The Momnificent Podcast equips parents with science-based strategies to help you live a happy, healthy life with your kids. Welcome. I'm so excited. I have a very special guest with me today, and we are going to talk about the topic of forgiveness. And you might hear something today that you haven't really thought of or heard when it comes to this area. So stay with me. And I know there's going to be at least one takeaway that's just going to inspire you for yourself, your kids, your family, anybody that you're interacting with or talking about when this subject comes up. I have Katharine Giovanni with me. She is a 3-time best-selling award-winning author, speaker, trainer, and advisor, and a breast cancer survivor. Katharine's newest book is The Ultimate Path to Forgiveness that we're going to touch upon today. So, Katharine, first of all, welcome to Momnificent.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay, I have a surprise question, even though you don't even know my questions. But this one is totally off topic. What's one thing you've done recently that you haven't done for a while that just brings you joy?
I colored.
You did. I love that.
I colored. It was really quite soothing. And I had a stressful day one day, and I used to color for a lot back in the day when I used to live in another town. And I just took out a coloring book, and I just sat there and colored like a little kid. It was very liberating.
Oh my gosh. What do you like to use? Colored pencils, markers, or like anything?
Both depends.
Both.
Both depends on the mood.
And was it like those adult coloring books or just like,
Yeah. Oh
yeah,
yeah, it was an
love,
adult coloring book.
I love those. You know what I do now? The last 2 years, I do a star party at school where every kid in a class is star of the week, and they come to my office and I do a read aloud. And I bought, those huge color posters
Oh yeah.
like that go on a wall. I have like 4 and 5 of them all on my office walls, and that's what the kids color when I read aloud.
I
It's
love that.
it's so cute, and it looks so beautiful, and I just love it by the end of the year. Anyway, okay, let's get back to your awesome book. Why a book on forgiveness? You've written about 12 books. Why now a book on forgiveness? What happened in your path that led you to writing this book?
I'll take you back to the beginning because I think it's an easy way to see how it lays out. It all started when I was in the 8th grade. It was 1974. I am that old. Uh, I was getting horribly, I was getting horribly bullied in school. My parents were in the middle of a really ugly divorce, and I tried to commit suicide because of all of it. I had one friend who pulled me out, and she's now a vascular surgeon today. So I was just the first life of thousands that she saved. But I didn't handle it very well, so I turned into this angry teenager. I lived in New York City, and we all tend to wear black, but I was like in mourning for years. And I got through my teenage years, I got through the 20s, and I was like this walking thundercloud. I had one friend. My self-talk was awful and why did I only have one friend? Who wants to be around somebody who's negative all the time and sick all the time? And it kind of spiraled. Somehow I met my husband of 30 years, and he kind of pulled me out of it. And that's when I discovered forgiveness. My mother, who was a raging alcoholic, fell down the stairs, broke her hip, ended up in the hospital. And even my mother couldn't get a gin and tonic in the hospital, although she did try. So we sent her to rehab, and I had 3 really beautiful years with her. We forgave each other. We became close as sisters. Then she died of breast cancer. And I realized that I couldn't go through the rest of my life angry and living like this. But by then, Karen, it had become my story. I was the survivor. I wore it like a badge of courage. I kind of went through life saying, look at me, this is my story. And if I lost the story, it was very scary. Who would I be?
Right. Who
Who would I be if I lost this story? I'm a survivor. I survived alcoholism. I survived suicide. I survived the bullies stuffing me into a locker.
Gosh.
Who would I be? But I couldn't continue the way I was because I thought I'm going to die like my mother if I keep this up because anger is toxic. So I
Yeah.
started to forgive people and it started to make me feel good. But everybody says you need to forgive. Nobody teaches us how.
So when you say you started to forgive people, like, what was that? Like, talk us
Well,
through what that looked like, or when you say that, I have a picture of that, but maybe it's not what you mean you did.
so what I teach in the book is I teach you how to forgive. When
Okay.
I say forgiveness, your listeners are now thinking of the worst person that hurt them. So, in a 10 scale, with 1 being easy and 10 being unforgivable, you're all thinking about your 10. That's your knee jerk reaction. I can't tell you how many people have come up to me and said, well, I have forgiven them. Okay, I hear anger in your voice. Yeah, of course you have. Let's do another round, shall we? But you're all thinking of your number 10s.
Yeah.
So, I'm the only one in the world that's going to look you in the eye and say, you don't have to forgive the unforgivable. You don't. You don't have to forgive these people. It may not even be appropriate for you to do so, but there's other things you can forgive. So here's the secret sauce. I'm going to tell you to put together a list of people, places, and things. Yes, stay with me. I said places and things. And I want you to write it all down on a piece of paper. And then I want you to rate them from 1 to 10, 10 being the most horrific. And you could have multiple 1s and multiple 3s and multiple 5s if you want, but you rate all these people, places, and things. And then you leave the 10s for last because they're hard. They're a bear. So there's so many other things you can forgive.
So when
And the
you
reason
say, here, can I ask a quick question?
Mhm.
When you say people, places, things, is it the person and the place and whatever it was attached to that person, or
Sure.
could those, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right?
For example, let me give an example of
Okay.
maybe a really horrific number 10. You were raped. So you do not want to forgive the person who raped you. But you can forgive the table, the chair, you can forgive the
Oh,
park where it happens. You can
that
forgive the path. You can forgive the car. You can forgive the building. And here's the secret
whoa!
sauce that
Never heard of that.
here's
Yeah.
the secret sauce to the whole thing. The reason some people don't stay forgiven, they have a nasty habit of bouncing back into your life and now they're living rent free in your head again, is because you didn't forgive the energy.
Oh, yeah, that's my question. Can I ask this one? Because sounds like you're stepping into it. What do you mean when you say when someone or something is so awful and you absolutely positively cannot forgive it, then the only thing you can forgive is yourself and the energy around the actual event? What and how do you forgive energy?
Einstein proved that energy is neither created nor destroyed. It simply changes form. So when we get angry, you think you're getting angry and it comes out of my mouth and it dissipates up in the clouds someplace. Sadly, it does not. It stays in your energy field until you clear it. Now, for the people who are listening to the audio only, I'm actually holding a glass. And for the visual people, you can see it. You might want to go to the YouTube channel and watch this video. Anyways, pretend that this glass I'm holding is anger.
Okay.
When I first get angry at somebody, I can keep it out of my visual. It's not even on camera anymore. I can hold it way off to the side because it's easy. I just got angry. See, I can still talk to people. I can conduct my life. My body language is open. But the longer I hold on to this glass, the more it's going to interfere with my life. The glass is now right in front of me, and my arm is going to start to hurt. And it's starting to affect my life because now I'm kind of focused on the glass now, and I'm still able to talk to you and other people, but I'm kind of focused on here. It's kind of it's permeating my self-talk at this point. Now, if I keep holding this glass, and remember, I'm still getting angry, I'm still putting more stuff and more anger into this glass. Now I'm using both hands to hold up to the glass. And now my focus, it's starting to get painful. The anger is starting to affect every part of my life. Now I'm holding the glass in front of my face. Now it's affecting everything. It's all I can see. It's all I can talk about. It's all I can think about. And it is 100% affecting my life. This is a number 10. So what do? How do you put the glass down so I can conduct my life? You start by forgiving the number ones and the energy around it. So once you start forgiving the energy is going to start to dissipate from around you. So instead of walking around in a little thundercloud, you're going to feel lighter. You're going to start to lose weight. There's a reason to buy the book.
Wow.
You are going to feel better, eat healthier. People are going to come up to you and say, did you cut your hair? What are you doing different? You look good today. Is that a new outfit? What are you doing? You didn't do anything. You just started to forgive people. So you start to forgive the number ones. The person in grade school who tripped you in the hallway. Okay, you can forgive that person. The person who copied your homework. You can forgive that person too. The person who cut you off in the grocery store on aisle 4. You can forgive that person. Grocery cart road rage.
Okay, I have a funny story about that. Here, I'll share it just to like break up. This is so funny. So when I go grocery shopping, I get in such a mode of like I've got like 10 things to do. That one time I wasn't even paying attention, and I took the guy's cart next to me, and I was on the next aisle over. And he comes running. He's like, "That's my wife's shopping cart." And I'm like, oh my gosh, I am going so fast. I wasn't even paying attention. I like was in the aisle and just went back to the wrong cart, and it was on the next. It was so funny. I couldn't believe it. Okay, so let's go back to the cup. So is the cup the energy, or is the cup anger?
The cup is your anger, and there's energy around the anger. So when you forgive the people, places, and things in the cup, then you also, there's a mantra that I have in the book. You also forgive the energy around the cup. And then here's the hard one. You forgive yourself and the energy around yourself. So how do you know when I'll anticipate a question everybody asks me. How do I know they're forgiven? When you can go on Facebook or social media, or you can write their name down and there's no emotion at all. You can look at that name and you feel nothing. You don't feel anything, good or bad. You don't care. That's when you know you've 100% forgiven that person. And you're going to feel better. A lot better. But do start with the number ones. Let me tell you a story about one of my number ones. This is an actual true story. This is going to stretch everybody's brain just a little bit.
Go for it.
I sat down in the middle of my bed, and this is not like Alcoholics Anonymous. You do not have to reach out to this person and tell them what they're doing. Forgiveness is selfish. It's personal. You don't have to tell anybody you're doing this. You can do it in your own home all alone, which is fine. It also doesn't mean the person was right. They probably weren't. It also does not mean I want a relationship with you. I probably don't. I just want you to get out of my head. I want to stop thinking about you. I don't care what you do. This is all about me. It's very selfish. So I sat on my bed and I got my list together, and I thought about somebody I went to school with. I couldn't even remember what I was angry about this. So I thought I can forgive her. So I did. And I just said, I put my hand in my heart and I said, I forgive you. And I put a lot of emotion into it, because the real trick is the words are just for humans. It's really the emotion behind the words that's the magic. So I forgave her. I hadn't talked to this person in 30 years. Not kidding. 2 hours later, she calls me on the phone.
Oh my gosh. Oh my.
I was shocked and took the call. We caught up, and about a half hour later, because I'm a very curious little bear, I said, I'm really curious. Why, after all these years, did you call me today? She said it was the damnedest thing. Oh, excuse my language. It was the darndest thing. 2 hours ago, a little figurine you gave me in school flew off my shelf and landed in the middle of in my bedroom. So I saw, and I thought I should give you a call. So and that was exactly when I was doing the forgiveness work.
Right. That's
so if forgiving somebody who's a level 1 can cause the energy to move 700 miles away, imagine what that would do to a level 4, 5, or even a level 10 if you can manage to forgive a 10.
So how did you learn this mantra?
It's I'm actually very intuitive, and it just came to me. So there's no mantra. You don't have to burn any sage or incense. You don't have to dance on one leg. You don't have to do, there's nothing fancy. It's literally just saying, I forgive you and the energy around you. I forgive me and the energy around me. I forgive the energy around the whole thing. And I also want you to forgive people, places, and things. I forgave 1974, whole year. I
Wow.
forgive 1974 and the energy around it. Why? Because
Wow.
that was the year I was in the 8th grade and I tried to commit suicide. And it was such a big thing in my life. I decided to forgive the entire year all in one shot. But I also went in and did the piecework. I also forgave the players, the bullies. And sometimes people will come to me and say, well, it didn't work. Yeah, it did.
Yes.
Forgiveness is like an onion. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And sometimes you'll forgive somebody and you've cleared the first layer, so more stuff will come up. And sometimes it takes a while to get that number 10 down to an 8, down to a 7, down to a 3. You probably can forgive a number 3, but it's going to take you a lot of passes to get them down to that level.
All right, I'm going
Which
back.
is why I want you to start with the number 1s, because you're going to feel so much better. You're going to feel healthier.
That's so awesome.
You might even smile and laugh a little bit.
This is so exciting. Oh my gosh. I am so glad we connected and we are talking about this. I'm going to jump back to that one little thing you totally inserted there and went right on with, saying it was you're like an intuitive and it just came to you intuitively. And my New Year's resolution this year is to be more in tune with my intuition. That's what I'm like.
Oh, I wrote a book about that. It's called, of course I did, right?
Of course you did.
Of course I did. It's called The Little Bird on Your Shoulder.
Oh,
And
that's what I saw that.
teaching people how to talk to that little bird on your shoulder. You can call your little bird anything you want. God, Jesus, Tom, Dick, Harry, Barry, Gertrude. I don't care what you call it.
What did my mom have growing up? What do they call them? Not a secret friend, but what do they call those?
Invisible friend?
Yeah. My mom, is that what it is? No, I feel like it's something else, but it's something like that. Yeah, she had,
There's no such thing as an invisible friend. You're talking to the other side. It means your mom was probably clairaudient or clairvoyant and really, really good at it. I hid this kind of stuff for years because I did get bullied. And when you're different from everybody else, you get bullied and you get ostracized. So I hid what I can do from virtually everybody. I'm very clairvoyant. I'm clairaudient. I'm clairsentient. I'm very intuitive. I'm going to freak out everybody who's listening on this broadcast, but I am. And I can see things for other people. I can see your past lives, but I'm also a concierge trainer. And part of my training is I am one of the founders of the independent concierge industry. And it's not that I'm a very smart person. I'm a really good listener. And I listened to the guidance I was given. And the guidance was, you should write a book. Okay, you're crazy. I've never written a book. You should write a book in the concierge industry. I wrote a book. I have been giving messages to people for years, but I hid it. I usually qualify it by saying, have you ever thought about ... I have a hunch you should ...
I love that. Well, what really,
now I'm telling my crazy to everybody. I hope straight jackets come in multiple colors.
Hey, when anybody is ready for it, they are open to hear it and embrace more of it. And my husband's more into what you're sharing, and I'm watching him from a little bit of a distance. So I was looking through one of the books he was recently reading, and I loved how it said, you will tune into your intuition more the more relaxed you are. And so I also consciously, like, because in my job as principal, it's very stressful, and like the weight of the kids, the parents, the teachers, like all the things that are going on. And I have, ever since I read that, I just made a commitment to myself to like really tune into that. Okay, how stressed and anxious am I right now? And what can I do? Usually for me, it's breathing. Just closing my door and just like really like just being in tune and aware more than I ever have, because I usually just barrel right through and go on and on and on, because that's what you do and that's all you can do, and all, the world just keeps moving. But anyway, I thought that was so brilliant.
You're really intuitive, right? You're doing it now. You can, you probably have somebody walk into your office and you just know what they're going to say and you know what to tell them automatically. That's intuition.
I love it.
Everybody on the planet is intuitive.
That I
Everybody has this gift. You
that
see it, you hear it, you feel it, or you know it. I have a friend who was driving down the highway, and all of a sudden she hears, she just feels she's got to turn the wheel. She was falling asleep at the wheel. If she hadn't woke up just then, because she clearly heard somebody, wake up, she pulled the wheel. She avoided the car crash.
man.
In Florida, when that building
Oh,
collapsed,
yes.
half of that building collapsed. Remember that?
Yeah.
There was one woman in there. This is a true story. There was one woman in there who the night before that happened just had the feeling she should put her medication in her handbag. She's never done that before, but she just had this feeling that she needed to do that. The morning after, she heard "Run for your life," and she ran the opposite way she would have, to the stairway on the other side of the building.
Oh
She's
my
one of the only ones that lived.
gosh. I have the
So the
chills.
trick to this is to learn how to do this purposely and not when your life is in danger. Everybody does this. Every parent on that planet does this, especially moms. Your child comes in looking like a Cheshire cat and grinning from ear to ear. You know they did something wrong. The house was entirely too quiet. Your intuition is screaming at you, go check the child, go check the child. That's intuition, man.
Love it. I love
Everybody
it.
does this, but everybody has a different way of doing this. And forgiveness, if you're angry and you're walking around in a thundercloud, you're not helping yourself, you're not helping your kids. And once you start to forgive people, you're going to notice things more. Your perception of life will change, and you're going to notice stuff in the kids. If I had known this in the 8th, 9th grade, I might not have tried to commit suicide,
Yeah, for
because
sure.
I would have known, the anger would have started to dissipate. And if I'd learned that I do have a little bird on my shoulder, I would have had that imaginary friend, and it would have helped a lot.
Yeah.
Now, I did hear voices back then, and I just thought it was me talking to me. I just thought
Right.
everybody heard voices in
Yeah.
their head. You don't really?
Okay. Well, I'm going to have you back on because I am loving every minute of this, and there's so much I know you have to share. Before I go to one of my last questions, I love how when I learned once reading a book where it talked about anything that you're going through that in this situation, we're talking about forgiveness. If you hold that unforgiveness, it all eventually turns into a dis-ease.
Yes, it does.
And to frame it like that, I hadn't thought of it till I read that one time, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, like,
Yeah, it does.
we need this. Our nation, our kids, our society more than ever before." And so I'm gonna jump into my next question, but, what part does gratitude play in forgiveness? Can you explain what you mean by that and the steps involved?
Sure. Gratitude is a huge part of this. Now, first of all, anger is toxic. And everybody says that to you, but very few people will explain why it's toxic. I'm
Okay.
really kind of big on the why. I don't mind doing things, but I want you to explain to me why I have to do it and how to do it. So, anger is toxic. And there was a study done by, I cannot pronounce his name, Matsumoto, in Japan. He studied water. And I'm really dumbing this down. You can find it online. You can find the pictures online. He took two containers of water, and one container of water, he said beautiful things. He wrote beautiful things on the label, everything. He sent love to this. The other container, he said horrible things, nasty things, told it was awful. Then he put each container of water under a microscope. The water that was said hatred had these black, nasty, ugly formations under the microscope. The water that was given love had these beautiful, crystal, loving things. The human body is 98% water. So if you're putting anger and toxins into our bodies, what do you think that's going to do to you? And eventually you'll have a stroke, you're going to get a heart attack, you're going to eat too much, you're going to drink too much, that kind of thing.
Wow.
So gratitude, for anybody who thinks what I'm speaking is mumbo jumbo, you might start with gratitude. And, every night before you go to bed, just say you're grateful for 3 things. And it could be, I had a hot cup of coffee today. That's fine. It's like going to a restaurant menu and only liking one thing. Build on that. Build on the hot cup of coffee, because the gratitude is going to open you up to forgiveness, and it's going to open up your pipes, and it's going to start to affect your self-talk. Because if you do this for like a week or 2 in a row, That's hardcore, 100% scientific proof there is good in your life.
Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. Katharine, keep talking, keep talking. I love you. I love this. I love everything about it. All right, how can someone find and follow you?
You can go to my website, which is katharinegiovanni.com, and Katharine is spelled very strangely. Thanks, Mom. Katharine Giovanni.com. The book is available on Amazon, and actually, your audience is pretty cool because the audiobook was live today.
Oh my
So I
gosh.
have the ebook, the audiobook, and the paperback all available on Amazon. And the audiobook is brand new today. And I noticed if you join their audiobook membership, you can get it for free.
Congratulations. Katharine, thank you for what you have experienced and learned and are sharing that so many of us like this is like a healing for us at this time. It's so beautiful and I can't thank you enough for showing up, for being you. Tell us a little bit as we close about your Thriving Times monthly newsletter in case someone might be interested in that.
Oh, that comes out every month, and I've been doing it for years. You can go to my website and sign up for it, but it's got inspiration articles that I write. It's got some angel messages that's written by a friend of mine. It's got another column written by another friend of mine. I put comics in there. I put good news from around the world because there is good news out there. So it's just one of those motivational, feel-good newsletters that I put out every month to combat all the negativity and anger in the world. Because I think somebody has to put out some good stuff as opposed to all the stuff you see. We're bombarded with it, but there are good things happening out there and there are good people out there.
And this is just a beautiful inspirational. I'm so excited about this interview that we were able to have to bring it. I'm totally inspired and I know it's going to touch so many others. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
That's all we've got for this episode of the Momnificent podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, I would be honored if you would subscribe and rate if you really liked it. I know wherever you're listening right now, it might not be the best time to leave a comment, but feel free to leave a question, a review, or a comment at any time. And until next time, remember, don't worry, be happy.